With Newcastle United set for an incredible financial takeover, here are the 4 steps they should take to get themselves into Premier League contention. Let's get into it. What's up, everybody? What's up, everybody? Jacob Ferdinand here with Amateur Hour Sports, where we give you raw and unfiltered sporting content Monday, Wednesday, Friday, and Saturday. So if it is your first time here with me today, make sure you subscribe to the channel right now to stay up to date with future episodes coming your way. Yes, today I will be talking about Newcastle again. As you can see, I got my Newcastle jersey on the wall so that I can talk about them, how they can manage to turn their club around with this financial takeover without breaching financial fair play regulations. Because the football world is a lot more complicated than it was in the late 2000s when Man City's financial takeover saw them with the ability to buy anybody they wanted, and it really showcased that their buying power was present when they bought Robinho, and one of the most shocking transfers of all time. And even when PSG got some new ownership and they could just buy whoever which player they wanted. Now UEFA has cracked down on these sorts of things happening, and you need to stay within a certain amount based on the amount of revenue you've earned from the previous season. So Newcastle can't just go willy-nilly buying Kylian Mbappe and whoever they want. So let's get right into the 4 steps Newcastle need to take in order to succeed. Step number 1, the main priority for this team, if they are to get some new owners and have copious amounts of money, even though I don't support the new ownership, the Newcastle United ownership would have exponential amounts of money more than the current Premier League richest owner, Man City's owner Sheikh Mansour. The first priority needs to be funding the academy and bringing up your own players into the team. You can't just go spending on every player you want, so it's important to build up these free players. Obviously, there's going to be a bit of an investment into the academy, but bringing up these young players into your squad, strengthening from your core, from your roots. Those are the players that are going to have the drive and passion to not only play your club, but to succeed at your club. Bringing through these high-level talents will alleviate the buying that you need to do for other players to strengthen your squad. If you can find one of your own free players to bring up into the squad, you can have success for decades. Like, look at Manchester United's class of 92. You bring up a lot of academy products, and for decades you're set. For 2 decades they were almost set with some of these players like Paul Scholes, Ryan Giggs, and the likes. I think recently Newcastle have had a bit more success with their academy, though it isn't formidable success. They can continue to push on, and some big investments into the academy needs to be the priority. That's why it is step number 1. The first thing they need to do is get the academy set for the future, because even if it doesn't go well with the ownership, if it goes sour somehow, some way, you still have that academy set in place. And even if you can't buy those players in the future, you still always have that great academy ready to go. Step number 2. So the next thing you need to do is drive up the revenue, because with the financial fair play regulations in place, you can only spend a certain amount based on your revenue from the previous season. Newcastle don't have tremendous revenue at the moment, though they can fill up a big stadium, and they do have a bit of market power because they are a big club, because they almost won the Premier League in the 90s, and some people still like to remember those times. But all in all, they do need to up their power in the marketplace, and they need to drive in more revenue, and merchandise is probably the best way to do this. So I think they need to follow the path the likes of Manchester City and Juventus, and a little bit more unsuccessfully, but West Ham United as well. Change the logo to appeal to more merchandise, the way Juventus all of a sudden turned themselves into a marketing superpower, when at the start of the decade they were in a bit of obscurity. You know, they hadn't won the Scudetto in a while. They had been in Serie B and had still not recovered from that relegation through those allegations of match fixing. But these teams who have started to change their logos have been much more successful in people buying their shit, basically. And with Juventus, it also helped in buying Cristiano Ronaldo, but the popularity was already starting to rise as they were are dominating in the league, and they changed their logo to a more appealing one. People didn't like it at first, but now it's more and more growing on people. It looks cleaner and nicer on jerseys, and you could say the same for the Man City badge. The old one wasn't too nice for jerseys or for, some jackets, any sort of merchandise. But their current one, the more circular one, the one I'm talking about, is much more appealing to merchandise. West Ham have done the same thing. For some reason, all of them have ditched basically any sharp corners and just rounded off everything. And I can see a lot more teams doing that in the future, and I think Newcastle are one. If they want to thrive with more revenue and more merchandise sales, I think this is a change they need to do. Something to shake everything up and show that there's a new beginning for the Newcastle United organization. Step number 3. So though it is difficult to get a lot of players into your squad right off the bat, you need to be a bit of a process, but you do need to buy one marketable player. One player that is going to show the rest of the league, if not the entire football world, what you are about. A proper signing, with a big name who can sell jerseys. He's a marketable piece to your team, can drive in revenue, can drive in merchandise, and somebody who can produce on the field. I've been seeing a lot of links with Newcastle trying to get Felipe Coutinho, and I think that is a player that could be what they need for the third step in my 4-step process. Sign a player like Felipe Coutinho. That way, people are going to be buying his jerseys. He's a quality player, though he's struggled in the past. It's a bit of a mistake that he left Liverpool. Didn't really get his play time at Barcelona. Bayern Munich don't really want to keep him after the loan. He's a good player to buy. Maybe Barcelona are going to be looking to sell him, that you can get a bit of a cut price. Bring in a guy like Felipe Coutinho, and you still got money to buy in some other assets in order to build up your team. There have been some instances in the past where jersey sales can basically pay back the transfer fee for a player. And you don't just simply collect 100% of the revenue from jerseys, but guys like James Rodriguez when he joined Real Madrid and Shinji Kagawa when he joined Manchester United, the jersey sales that they had were unbelievable amounts of money, almost paying back the entire transfer fee. Makes it almost worth it in the end. And I'm not saying buy a player just for the ability to sell jerseys. Buy a player who can produce on the field, but can also be your marketable piece for your club going forward. Even maybe think about buying an older player who's a bit past it, but can bring in some revenue because of the marketability of the player. You can't expect to see success on day one, which brings us to step number 4. Just fucking wait. You gotta be patient in this marketplace, in this modern era of football. You can't just go buy everybody immediately. Wait till your academy products get their upbringing into the first team. Slowly and slowly buy more players for your team. You can't just be like Man City from 2008, 2009, 2010. Just buying everybody they wanted. Just going out and fucking buying everybody. Can't happen anymore. You're going to get a breach of the rules. Man City even got into a lot of problems with UEFA start of this year. Got their Champions League ban. It's either started this year or end of last year. 2-year ban from the Champions League for a breach in financial fair play regulations. At the end of last season, AC Milan were in a Europa League position, but they got banned from the competition for financial fair play regulations. UEFA is cracking down on these teams for spending these incredible amounts of money, so it's got to be smart the way you spend it. Spend it on the academy, spend it on a player who's going to build up the revenue to give you more buying power. You build up your revenue, like I said in step 2, and then you have more revenue to spend in the next season on better players. That's why it's a process. Rome wasn't built in a day, and don't fucking bring up the Brian Clough quote about that. You gotta wait, see everything through, and it's not gonna be, Newcastle, you're not gonna get relegated. I mean, I don't know. I can't quite comprehend how they've managed to stay up all these years. But you're not going to get relegated with the ability to buy players who are going to keep you up. And if you are in trouble, you will buy people in January to keep you up. But look at the process, build up, get yourself in safety, not worrying about getting relegated. Then try to push on into Europa League and Champions League. And then once you're there and you have all this power, push on, and even with all this money, maybe Newcastle can start challenging for the Premier League title again. Who knows? But don't expect anything to happen overnight. It's going to be a bit of a process. You need to get people to click. You need to get these new players to click together, find a new manager, because Steve Bruce won't be able to push on with quality players like this. I think he's a save you from relegation specialist. Find a manager like Pochettino to push on into a new beginning. There are my 4 tips for Newcastle in order to succeed in the future with this potential financial takeover. We'll see if it goes through. But that wraps up this video. Thank you for watching. Leave a like if you like, and subscribe to Amateur Hour Sports right now to stay up to date with the future content coming your way. Also, don't forget to hit that notification bell so that you never miss an episode. At the end of the day, I believe what I say, and if you disagree, that's okay. Shout out Hatton Ben Arfa, and we'll see you again next time.